Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Kevin Daisey here from Array Digital, and I'm joined by Bob Pizzini, or Robert Pizzini. He likes to go by Bob, and that's what I call him. Bob, thanks for joining me. And today we are going to be talking about a few different things. Obviously, with all the craziness going on with COVID-19, a lot of businesses are struggling, retail, restaurants, stuff like that. And so I just want to kind of talk a little bit about what we're doing as leaders, how to best handle those things, how to make quick decisions. And Bob's here to talk to us about some heart and brain health and how to be focused, especially during these kinds of times. And just to give you like a little bit of idea with Ray Digital here, we've had to make very quick decisions on, with our staff, with our clients, and then how we're pivoting and changing things up to make sure we can stay in business and keep paying our employees. So we made quick decisions here. Those decisions sometimes, again, have to be made very quickly, and you have to be in the right mindset. Working from home, we went to that immediately. Well, I guess not this Monday, but last Monday, we made that decision. We've had to make decisions with certain clients. Bob is a client as well, and so we've done things to help him and his business. And but here, I want to let Bob kind of talk a little bit about his knowledge and experience in brain and heart health and how he's leverages that to make good decisions in times like this, for sure. So Bob, thanks for coming on. If you want to introduce yourself, and you can kind of go into some of the things you're here to talk about.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Kevin. So hello, everybody out there. My name is Bob Pizzini. I'm the CEO of iFly Virginia Beach Indoor Skydiving. I also developed a program called Elevate Your Leadership, and it's based on my 26 years of Navy Special Operations and my now 11 years in the private sector. I employ 41 people at iFly Virginia Beach. I've had to make some very difficult decisions over the last few days as well, and it continues right up until just before this Facebook Live session. And as soon as we're done, I'm right back at it. So there's finance for the business. There's the health and well-being of our personnel. One of our young ladies on staff delivered a baby. I believe it was 7 days ago, and got a layoff notice almost immediately afterwards. And so I have to be focused on her well-being and the well-being of everybody else on this team. We have to remain solvent, and we have to be concerned about the COVID-19 for our personal safety and for the safety of our staff and our customers. So there's a lot going on. And in the realm of leadership, leaders ultimately, I think, solve problems on a regular basis. And leaders who are calm, cool, and collective in their problem solving usually do a much better job. And they usually keep their employees around longer. They're reliable, they're dependable, they don't knee jerk, they don't have storm clouds over their head. Somebody can bring me very good news or very bad news, and my response should essentially be the same. How did that happen? And what, if anything, should we do about it? So you want to be level, and you want people to be very comfortable coming to talk to you. Hi, Courtney. So that's kind of that's kind of
I was just saying, absolutely, you got to be on point and ready to make those decisions, whether it's good, bad, whatever. They need to be able to trust that you can make the right decision and be clear-minded about it.
Yeah, exactly. And so to that clear-mindedness and how we do that, really, there's 6 things that I focus on daily as a leader. And these 6 things give me calm, they give me presence, they allow other people to observe me in a leadership capacity, and it gives me clarity, and it gives me what I like to call a 360-degree view of things. And those 6 things, quite simply, are rest, hydration, nutrition, exercise, brain and heart health, and lifelong learning. And the brain and heart health is what we'll spend a little bit, we'll go a little bit deep on today, but keep in mind that rest is critical to brain and heart health. And how much rest do you get on a daily basis? And is it quality sleep? and hydration. How much water should you drink every day? If you don't know that, there you go. You should know that, and then you should drink that much. Now, personally, I should drink about 100 ounces a day, and I can tell you on most days I don't achieve that. I keep a log, I track it, but I find it difficult to get there every day. So rest,
Yeah,
hydration, nutrition.
challenging.
Yeah, it is challenging. 70% of disease is preventable through diet. Or another way to say that is 70% of disease is caused by unhealthy diets. I mean, that's a remarkable number. And so nutrition is critical. Exercise. So exercise in a time of crisis or in a time of calm triggers something in your brain called neuroplasticity. That neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to grow, change, adapt, or heal. A leader needs to have a brain that's as strong and functional as possible. And you do that through exercise. You do that through elevating your heart rate. And these numbers are known, and the science is proven on this. But by elevating your heart rate through exercise, you're creating a healthier heart and, more importantly, a healthier brain that can see things more clearly and enable you to make better decisions. I'll take a quick pause there.
Yeah. So, just kind of add to this too. I was lucky enough to actually attend one of Bob's elevator leadership days that he hosted at iFly, and I was able to learn a lot of this stuff firsthand. And it takes a full day just to even get exposed to a lot of that. So, um, I was fortunate enough. But what Bob has to offer here is something I never really thought about. That I've definitely taken more measures um, to apply a lot of these things. And not that I'm a pretty active person, but I'm taking a lot more serious, and it's helped me a lot for sure. Drinking, yeah, I've been trying to stay as hydrated as I can and things like that, which is challenging, So it's hard to keep up with all these things, but in a time like this, it's even more challenging, right? So without access to the gyms and the facilities that we're used to work out and to do those things, work from home, gym in the garage, things like that as well. So,
Yeah, and I'll say that all those things combined give you calm and it gives you presence of mind, and ultimately it'll give you confidence in your decision making, and especially in a crisis, especially in a time like now, COVID-19, in a time of crisis, that confidence is what you need to get yourself through the day, but it's also what your team needs from you more than anything else. And that confidence is created through you focusing on first of all leading yourself, and then leading your team. So let's talk about brain health just a little bit more. What happens? We talked about neuroplasticity. So through exercise, elevating your heart rate, your brain grows, changes, adapts, heals, creates new neural pathways. But what else happens in a time of crisis? So we can think about fight, flight, or freeze. And of course, that happens when the tiger's chasing you. But it also happens in a time of crisis in the workplace or in the business environment, or to you as a leader when you face great challenge. And what happens how is fight, flight, or freeze triggered? It's triggered by your sympathetic nervous system. And so within your autonomic nervous system, you have two subsystems, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. Your sympathetic nervous system responds to stress by raising your heart rate, raising your blink rate, raising your blood pressure, reducing your saliva rate. It prepares you for battle, or it prepares you to run from the tiger. Or in the workplace, and this happens every day, it prepares you to deal with adversity, with difficult situations. You can counter your sympathetic nervous system, your fight, flight, or freeze, by activating what's called your parasympathetic nervous system. And that brings your blink rate back down. It brings your blood pressure back down. It reduces your heart rate. It puts you back in control, so to speak, and really allows you to see the full picture. So when sympathetic activates, your vision literally narrows, which means your ability to reason literally narrows. And so parasympathetic has the opposite effect. It widens your vision, increases your peripheral vision, for example, and will allow you to see things more clearly. As your heart rate goes from, say, a resting heart rate to elevated through the sympathetic nervous system, people who exercise more frequently, it is a gradual yet steady buildup in the heart rate. And when the heart rate comes back down, the same thing. It's this kind of gradual, steady reduction. That is much less taxing on you and your brain and your body than this erratic elevation in your heart rate. And this is controlled through something called heart rate variability. And it's the rate at which your heart rate and your respirations accelerate and decelerate. You can have a smooth acceleration, which means you're kind of staying in the driver's seat, or you can have an erratic acceleration, which makes you lose control, lose focus, and it's very exhausting both physically and mentally. So parasympathetic, how do we activate our parasympathetic and keep ourselves in control? You've heard
That was going to be my next question.
yeah. Well, you've heard stop and breathe. And the rest of that is stop and breathe, deep inhalations, deep exhalations, inhalations through the nose for a minute or two. Or if you have 3 or 4 minutes, do it for 3 or 4 minutes. But and if you wear some type of fitness tracking device, you can literally watch your heart rate reduce when you do that. And again, you're increasing your ability to respond to the situation. And that could be the broader situation. You know, what I have to respond to now, ultimately, I have to be thinking about tomorrow and the next day and looking down the street and around the corner. You know, you can only look so far, but these are all things that I have to keep in check. And I do that by paying attention to my physiology, rest, hydration, nutrition, exercise, brain and heart health. And lifelong learning is not a physiological function, but lifelong learning is something that good leaders are dedicated to throughout their careers.
No, I think this is great, and this, it's different too. I think right now, I've been a part of a few calls with other business owners and mastermind groups and stuff like that, and most of it's related to direct business. Like, what do I do? I'm losing customers. What am I, how do I change up my services? How do I keep my doors open? How do I adapt? And what I haven't heard really is anything related to, well, what are you doing to take care of yourself, to get rest, to be focused so that you're making the right decisions? And I'll be honest with you, I think, and Eric's probably listening, the first week of this whole crisis, we were a little off guard and a little put back, and it took a few days to go, okay, we got to come out of this and do the right things and make quick decisions. And Eric was one of the ones that obviously came to that realization pretty quickly. He's like, hey, we got to be out of the fog here. We got to think clearly, and we got to make decisions. Our people, they rely on that. They count on that. So I think it's pretty cool that talking about this kind of stuff, because right now everyone's doing anything and scrambling, but probably not doing half the things that you're talking about to make sure that they're doing the right things. And so I think that's a good lesson here. We did have a couple questions too that came in, or one that was, I guess someone missed the 6 things that you mentioned for leaders. So we can just wonder if we can post that in the comments at some point. So,
yeah. And I
reiterate that real fast, the 6 things that you mentioned, and then we'll get that in the comments for you.
Yeah. So I call these the 6 critical aspects of leadership: rest, hydration, nutrition, exercise, brain and heart health, and lifelong learning. And I will just say that when I express those graphically, it's in a Venn, and the reason is they're all interrelated. If my rest is negatively impacted, that can have a negative effect on the other 5 factors. If I'm not well hydrated, that could have a negative impact on the other 5 factors. Or the opposite is true. If I'm well rested and well hydrated, I'm prepared to have a good exercise session. So the effects of these things can be positive or negative, but
Sure.
they all touch each other.
That's a good point. So basically, it's really about maintaining a balance across all those as best you can.
Yeah,
Right.
on a daily basis. I think leaders on a daily basis should focus on each one of those. You don't have to commit the whole day to it, but all six of those things should get some attention on a daily basis.
Gotcha. So with the Elevate Your Leadership, I guess you're still holding those sessions, and that's something available. I guess we'll share some stuff about that in a link to your website as well. Is there any I guess other than breathing exercises, any things you could think of that you could share that are easy for people to start doing right now, things that they can do to um, make better practice of this. Obviously
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hydration,
So
breathing.
again, from a leadership perspective, you want to apply this stuff to yourself first, but you really want to enable it for the rest of your team. If you can, I know you guys get fitness memberships for your staff. I do something similar here. I have workout stations in the building. I have a very liberal policy on, if you want to go to the gym at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, however you fit fitness into your day. So you want to enable this stuff, and really, I've got a modest library in my conference room, and so I would just make these things available to your team, and you make it available a few different ways. One, you model the behavior,
Sure.
you live by it. It's part of culture and values, and two is you enable it physically or in whatever capacity that takes. And I'll give you some examples. So I have a lot of people in their 20s on my team. Some are very health conscious, some are not. There's a handful that have been with us for a long time who were not health conscious when they got here, and they are now. And to watch that conversion happen over the period of, say, 6 months to a year is pretty neat. It means that our culture and our values are having a positive impact on that individual, and the team and the company benefit from that ultimately.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's funny because I love that part about your values and how you operate the company with fitness as part of it. And my company, Ray Digital, we didn't do that by design, other than having the gym memberships as an incentive, just a benefit and things like that. But naturally, my whole team, as they work out, they post workout um, pictures, things that they're doing, goals they have. We also have a food fitness channel that's in the company where we can post meal ideas and things like that that people are making at home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been going on for quite a while. So it's kind of cool to see everyone have these different challenges. I know Eric and Jake here they ran a half marathon because the half marathon they were going to run was canceled, but they did it anyway. Um, it was really cool to see everyone across your company really doing something. They might
Sure.
not
You
not
can have,
marathon runners stuff like that, but they're all doing something to put a goal and stay healthy and get better,
sure.
get better shape than they were.
You showed your water bottle a couple times. I mean, you can have just the daily water challenge. Hey, did you drink all your water today? Or,
Yeah, yeah,
how many cups have you had so far today? Another thing that happened within our organization is I personally started prepping healthy meals and bringing them in. When you do that meal prep, you save yourself time and money and stress and frustration because you know what you have for lunch. You know it's going to be healthy, nutritious. It's good brain food. Anyway, I
yeah.
started doing that personally. Other members of the team started doing it. Then somebody finds a source of prepared food that's healthy and affordable, and they share that information with everybody. So it's really neat. And again, this goes to the culture and the values of the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, right now, if you can find small businesses, restaurants that are making prepared food, to go food, obviously that's a huge help to them right now too. To be, trying to use small business in order for them. But yeah, my team preps way better than I do. They all have their prepping stuff, and I'm probably the worst at that. But but it's really cool to see that. And, as leaders, people are going to follow. So I think, having that fitness and that mindset is great. So,
Yeah,
um,
one thing that's important too that I can emphasize is, I developed a focus on those six things, and I'll say them again: rest, hydration, nutrition, exercise, brain and heart health, and lifelong learning. Those six things I call the science of leadership. So in my broader one-day leadership experience, I talk about the art of leadership, which is identifying leadership styles and power types and building your foundation if you don't have one, or evolving your foundation if you do have one. But it's knowing where you need to be as a leader in this moment, an hour from now, a day from now, a week from now. So that's what I call the art of leadership. The science of leadership, with those six components, is something that I have done my entire adult life, but not as consciously as I wish I would have. There's time, your body talks to you and your brain talks to you, and sometimes you hear what it's saying and sometimes you don't. Runner's high, for example, you feel great, and that's because your brain releases chemicals that make you feel incredible, the runner's high. And the body is designed that way. For me, problem solving was always easiest either during or after rigorous exercise. And you've heard the saying, strong body, strong mind. Well, the science behind all this is rock solid. It's proven. And as I've said, it's something that I've done for my entire adult life, and most people do, without having the very deliberate and conscious approach to exactly what I need to pay attention to on a daily basis. And what this does, it'll make you a better leader today. I mean, if you pay attention to those six things starting now, or modifying how you do it now, it'll make you a better leader immediately. But more importantly, you will be a better leader over a longer duration. You will have a longer, better career if you pay attention to this on a daily basis. Now, I'm 54, and I learned how to focus on that in my 50s. I wish somebody would have explained this to me a lot earlier, and I'd probably look a little bit younger. So.
you're doing fine. I've seen you in the wind tunnel there. I can't keep up. So, well, I think this is great, Bob. I appreciate it. I think it's a different spin. It's something people are probably not thinking about, especially during a time like this. It's a little different than our normal marketing show that we have, which it's just time calls for it. And if you're watching, think about these things that Bob's mentioned. If you need to know more about it, reach out to Bob. He has all this information and gives in-depth training and courses on this exactly. And I think the main takeaway is if you're going to make a big decision, go for a run first and then come back and make it.
Yeah.
At least, right? So, yeah, Bob, I appreciate you for explaining all this stuff. We do have another question here. Any examples of brain food? So, never heard of food helping that.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of examples, and it's amazing how much of this is available on YouTube or Google. You can Google this stuff, but omega-3 they say is great for connectivity in the brain, and that can either be through a supplement or through fish rich in omega-3. So tuna fish, salmon, things like that. Plant-based diets are also very good for mental clarity. And I don't know the science behind it, but I can tell you through my own experimentation that, again, having a lunch that's rich in vegetables, it takes away that trough, that post-lunch sleepiness. And that provides clarity, that provides energy. We go through this natural progression throughout the day: peak, trough, recovery. Most people wake up in a peak and their brain is very functional, they're very energetic, you can really analyze and you can really get the tough things done. Somewhere around early to mid-afternoon, we go into a trough, usually that post-lunch, and you can barely keep your eyes open. And then
I'm about to do that right now.
Yeah, okay. then later in the day, you go into what's called a recovery. So the recovery is not the high energy of the peak, but it's not kind of this low energy doldrum of a trough. It's this brainstorming, free thinking time frame. But eating the right foods will help avoid that trough. And for me, through my experimentation, I have found that the right foods are a much smaller protein serving and a much larger vegetable serving, or complex carb serving, beans, things of that nature.
Okay, yeah, that's actually when I learned about that when I went through your course. Never really thought about that before, and I think as leaders or managers, even looking at your tasking for the day and the most important things getting done early in the morning, where you can focus and you're at that peak level, because later in the day you're not gonna be in that mindset. You're gonna be tired and groggy or whatever. So yeah, I think that's huge to think about that, especially what business you're in, and if you're a 9 to 5 or whatever it may be. But that there's a section in the morning where you should be focused on your most important things and getting those things out of the way, and scheduling your stuff around that.
Yeah. There's a great book called When, written by Daniel Pink, and he talks about peak trough recovery. He talks about different little ways to recharge. He talks about the value of a nap. Just a great book, and it's really about optimizing your performance throughout the day.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate that, Bob. We'll share some links to your stuff and to your personal website that talks more about this stuff. And then I'll wrap it up with just kind of one of the things that we're doing here at Ray Digital to help any client that we're signing on. We're actually put together like a stimulus package where any new client that needs to get marketing, advertising as things kind of come back, that's going to be important for them. We're offering like a free month of services, so that every service we have for free for the first month to help people out if they know they need to market and advertise, but they don't know how to get started. That we're waiving first month's fees. So that's something we're doing. I'll share some more about that. I think I already have. And then of course next week we're doing another live stream. We might actually have 2. So as we're gathering more information about that, we're planning to have some specialists in on small business loans and how you can take advantage of that. Right now, there's a lot coming out.
Into that.
Yeah, there's a lot of the stimulus bills. We've been talking to Town Bank and Jones CPA, our CPA firm, and we got a lot of good information. So we're working to try to get one of them on to talk to us about that. And stay tuned for the Friday live stream next week as well. We'll let you know more about that. Bob, is there anything else you want to add?
No, thanks. Hey, in this time of adversity for everybody, anybody can reach out and talk to me, one-on-one. If you're open to having a conversation, I'm open to having a conversation. As leaders in the business community, we have to be there for each other. The Chamber of Commerce is very robust in that capacity, and there's a lot of resources available just by sharing information with each other. So anybody reach out. I'm generally coming down to iFly every day. I'm sitting in my conference room right now, and or you can find my information at robertpizzini.com to learn more about my formal offerings.
Excellent, man. Well, I appreciate it, Bob. We'll share again some links to your stuff on our Facebook page here, and I appreciate it. Hang in there. We're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. See ya.
Yes, sir. Bye.